Hello friends! So in today's video I just wanted to give you a little tour of my first official big girl garden. I've had smaller gardens before with just small smart pots in my backyard, but this is the first year where I've actually had enough space to have some larger raised beds and really be able to grow my food. And it's been so much fun. It has been a huge learning curve, and in today's video I just wanted to give you an unedited, unfiltered version of how my first garden went. The things that failed, the things that succeeded, the things that I would do differently next year, what I really liked, what I didn't like, and I'm just going to be totally honest with what I learned, and hopefully it is inspiring for you to get out there and just start your own garden, even if you're new at it. And I hope that you see that even if you don't know what you're doing, like me, you can still end up with so much food that you grew yourself, and that is so fun and so rewarding and so exciting. So let's get started. So here is an outside look of my garden. I have it fenced off so that the dogs don't get into it and dig up all my plants. And it's also right next to the chickens, which makes it really convenient for bringing any scraps that I have and just being able to chuck them right over the fence to the chickens. They love that. So this first gate, I have all of my cucumber growing up this fence. I have 4 cucumber plants, and oh my goodness, I have gotten so many freaking cucumbers this year. Honestly, I don't even know if I would plant that many because I have gallons and gallons already of pickles that I've made, and I still have so many cucumbers on the vine that are growing and so many new ones coming out, and I don't even know what I'm going to be doing with all of these cucumbers. But they have been delicious and big, and there's not really many on here right now because I just picked them this morning, but you can kind of see where some of them are starting to grow, and they usually end up getting like this long, like 6, 8, 10 inches long sometimes. So those have been delicious. I've loved those. And it would honestly probably still keep growing up and up, but I've just started to tuck these in the sides because I don't have any more space. And then when you walk into the garden, I put these little pavers down because this used to all be grass all through here. And obviously I didn't want the grass to grow up, and so I put a bunch of cardboard under this whole area, underneath the pathway and underneath both beds. And I covered the cardboard with this 3/4- granite and these stepstones. And these stepstones have been so fun because I can be out here barefoot. I don't have to worry about stepping on any stickers or anything like that. And I just think it makes it look so cute and so cozy. So when you first walk into my garden, there's this big cattle panel arch that I have all of my squash growing up, and it's been so fun to see how fast it grows. I swear it grows like a foot a day now. So that has worked so well because it's kept things a little bit more organized and contained and just looking a little bit nicer. So I'll start with this bed here on the right. There's not really a lot going on in this bed at the moment because most of this I have already harvested. This was my cabbage bed, and I had purple cabbage and white cabbage in rows here, and I harvested all of that already. And then I also had cauliflower and broccoli along the side here, and again, that's already harvested. I'll try and insert some clips as to what that looked like. Something that I would do differently this year is I planted all of my cabbages way too close together. So you can see like these two were this close together, one right here and one right there. That was way too close. they kind of grew into each other and then they just ended up not getting very big, which is fine because I still ended up with a ton of cabbage, but this is just way too close. And I would definitely do that differently this next year. And then all throughout the bed, I have some little onions popping up. My onions didn't do great this year. I'm not really totally sure why. If you have any onion suggestions for me, I would love to hear, because they are growing, but they're just not thriving, I would say. And then kind of sprinkled throughout the bed, I have some beans growing. And then I have more beans over here. You can see I've got a ton of green beans here. I've got these all over the garden, kind of spread sporadically throughout the garden. And these have been really delicious to eat. I really liked these. So I'll probably grow these again next year. And then I have some, I believe it's cantaloupe. It's labeled as cantaloupe. I'm honestly not 100% sure, but I'm believing right now that it is indeed cantaloupe. So we will find out. Apparently I didn't label well enough. I'm coming over to this left bed. So that was the right bed. A little bit scroungy, not really much going on. And then over here on this left bed, I definitely have way more happening. I have 2 big bundles of celery here, and those have been pretty good. I feel like they're a little bit tougher than I'm used to. I don't know if I'm just used to the store-bought stuff, but I've still been eating it, but I have noticed that they've been a little bit tougher. And then my basil, which is all going to seed. It's just kind of at its last leg. I need to pull all the seeds off. Oh, there's a little butterfly. And then I have a bunch more beans in here growing. And this whole middle section used to be radishes, but I pulled all of those out. Those were pretty much done, so I just yanked all those out. I have some dahlias over there and some more flowers. And then here, I think this might be my favorite part of the garden. This is my winter squash. I have so many winter squash growing. A ton of delicata here. You can see they're just happy as can be. And I have gotten so much produce from this winter squash arch. I have gotten a ton of delicata squash and then a ton of acorn squash all throughout this area, and I have loved it. I think that has probably been my most successful crop. I have a bunch more in there. I just have so many and they're so big. Like, you can see this one back here. It starts here and goes all the way up to here. It's so long. And then here I've got a ton of tomatoes, a bunch of tomatoes just packed in there. I only grew Romas this year. Get off it there. I only grew Romas this year. I'm not a huge tomato person, and so for me, like, this is more than enough tomatoes. I've been making salsa. I'm gonna make some red sauce, like red pasta sauce with these tomatoes, and I think that'll be really yummy. Over here I have my zucchini, which is absolutely large and in charge. It produces about 1 zucchini a day that is ready to be harvested, sometimes 2, but it's been a pretty good year for zucchini. I've done really well this year with squash bugs. I feel like a lot of times squash bugs eat everything, and so far so good. I also have a spaghetti squash here growing, and I believe this is also a spaghetti squash. Again, with my labeling, I need to do better at that next year. So we will see. So I believe that is a spaghetti squash as well. We will find out. And then I have all of my sunflowers that I planted all in front of this chain link fence because I didn't love the look of the chain link fence, and so I just planted a bunch of sunflowers to kind of cover up the chain link fence. I also have some grapes growing here that I've used the grape leaves for pickling so far, and the grapes aren't quite ready yet. I also have potatoes, and you can see the potatoes are ready to be harvested when they're dead like this on top. So my camera overheated and died because it is currently 102 degrees outside. So it overheated pretty quick. So I'm whipping out my phone so I can finish this tour for you guys and get this thing wrapped up. Hopefully my phone doesn't overheat. Okay, back to the potatoes. So here is my smart pot that is full of potatoes, and they are ready to be harvested. Whenever they start dying off like this and getting really crispy looking, that means that they are ready to be harvested. So I should be able to pull those out here the next day or so. So my biggest epic fail for the garden has to be the Swiss chard. As you can see, she has lived a rough life. I think I figured out what I did wrong now. I have a bunch of Swiss chard. I have this bed, and then I also have another smart pot over here. Also, since it's 102 degrees outside, that's probably why things are looking a little bit wimpy at the moment. But everything is watered. I watered everything today and yesterday, and everything is good. It's just because it's so flippin' hot. So here's my Swiss chard. As you can see, it's just in rough shape. I think I know what it is though. I'm pretty sure it's the birds. We have those little finches, and those little finches, I think that they love to eat this Swiss chard. So I think next year what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bird netting over it and have it more protected, because I would love to eat Swiss chard, but I have just not really had any this year because it's gotten demolished by the birds. So this has kind of become my tribute to the birds. Kind of a peace offering of, you can have the Swiss chard if you leave everything else alone. So I also have a zucchetta right here that's growing. My zucchetta is doing pretty good. I planted it kind of late, but I think it's going to do pretty well still. I love zucchetta because they're like zucchini, but they're really long and narrow. And it's cool because they can grow really big without getting that kind of like foamy, gross inside that the zucchini gets. You know, like when they get too big, they kind of get that yucky inside and yucky texture. So I really like the zucchetta, and hopefully those keep growing. But those two beds are where all of my early spring, winter crops were. So like all of my lettuce, obviously my Swiss chard, my arugula, my lettuces of different varieties, all of that was there in those two smart pots. I'm hoping to maybe come up with a better plan next year because I don't love the smart pots, but they work. I had them, so I wanted to use them. I also have a random garlic here. I did not plant a garlic, so the birds must have planted that. I'm not really sure how that happened. I also have a Asian pear tree. This was here before I came, so I can't take credit for this, but I have been taking care of her and making sure that her little fruits are growing. And then over here, I've got my little bird bath. I've got some more sunflowers here, and I have all my herbs in this pot right here. So I have thyme, I have rosemary, I have strawberries on the top, I have mint, I have parsley, sage. What else do I have? I think that's the majority of what I've got going on here. Oregano. I have oregano. And then I have an elderberry that's growing right there that is still working its way up. And I also have this little table here in the corner that is nice for just kind of being able to sit when it's not 102 degrees outside. and I've got some fertilizer here. This is the fertilizer that I use. It is a really good one. It's called Marine Cuisine, and my plants really love this. So that's a good recommendation for you. So for my raised beds, I filled them up with native soil, probably like 70 to 80% of native soil that was already here in the backyard. And then I added some rabbit poop to it, and I really feel like that was such a game changer. I really feel like that is why things have just grown like crazy and flourished this year. They've done so well, and I've just loved using the rabbit poop in the garden. I feel like it's really been a good fertilizer, but I didn't have to deal with many weeds or anything in it either. So rabbit poop was really good. We just got like 3 or 4 big grain bags filled with rabbit poop from some friends that had some rabbits that were just selling it for like $10 a bag. So grabbed a couple of those and just sprinkled it all through the garden. I also added a little bit of raised bed potting soil that I got from Grange, just to kind of lighten the soil a little bit and make it a little bit fluffier and not quite as dense. And I really feel like that was such a good combination for my soil this year. It's done amazingly well. And I think that's a really good option for if you're just starting and you don't have like a compost yet or anything like that. I think that's a really good idea. So I would definitely do that again. I really like the size of my 2 wooden raised beds. I would do that same size again. I believe they are 4 feet by 13 feet, 14 feet, something like that. I have to go back and look at a previous video. I took videos of me building this garden, kind of explaining things as I go, and so you can look back on previous videos and see me actually putting the garden together, planting everything, and you can see for yourself what failed, what succeeded, what is, what actually worked out. This is definitely kind of the end of the summer garden season. Things are kind of starting to dry and things are starting to really kind of get not so happy. Things are still growing though, which is good, but yeah, things are just feeling kind of hot right now. I hope that this video was encouraging for all the people that are new gardeners, that are just learning like me, and I hope that you can see that even if you don't know what you're doing and you're totally learning as you go and things fail and die and don't work out, or things look messy, they don't look aesthetic or Pinteresty, like I hope that you're able to be encouraged that even though like I was a newbie and even though like it doesn't look perfect and I totally could have done things better, I still got so much food from this garden. I've gotten pounds and pounds and pounds of food from this garden, and way more food than I've ever been able to grow. And even with me not knowing what I'm doing, I still had so much yield, and that is so rewarding and it's so fun. And I've been able to make pickles and sauerkraut and salsa and pizza sauce and so many things that I haven't really had to buy any vegetables this whole summer, which is crazy. And I have enough vegetables to last me for several more months now. And like, that's amazing to me. That is just so cool, that something that I enjoy and that's been so good for me and so fun has given back so much. And it's just been such a fun way of me starting my morning, coming out here when the sun's just rising and being outside, and a reason to wake up in the morning, get outside, start in my garden, kind of start slowly. And it's just been one of the sweetest parts of my summer. So if you are wondering if you can start a garden as a beginner, this is your sign that yes, you can, and it doesn't have to be perfect, and things are allowed to die, and you can still do great, and you can still be proud of yourself, and you can still have a blast. So hopefully you liked this video. There'll be many more videos to come, all surrounding garden stuff and growing and food and preserving and everything that is my life right now. So I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in the next one.